sure you have the whole time. I'm going to try to get them together, okay? Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you can hear me. That's a little after 4 o'clock, and we want to get started. Um, on behalf of the trustees of Cerritos College, I want to thank all of you for being here and for participating in the process of selecting a new president for this great college. Before we get started, you see Dr. Jose Fierro up here, and he will be speaking in a few minutes. We're hosting him today. But it's important that all of you that have phones, which is everybody, I believe, in the room, to not necessarily turn them off, but just turn the sound off and so on, so they don't go off during our meeting this afternoon. Dr. Fierro will make a few introductory comments. 3 to 5 minutes is sort of the plan. We have prepared 3 questions to get the dialogue going, and I will be asking a question, and then he'll have an opportunity to respond to those questions one at a time. But another part of the forum is an opportunity for you to participate by asking questions that you want us to ask. And so we have some up here. You can see there's already some cards here that people have already filled out. But for any of you that want to ask a question, you can start doing that, or during his presentation, it doesn't matter, something that he said, you want to ask a question, just get it to one of our staff, or just come on up here and leave it right there, okay, and we'll get to it. In addition, when you entered the room, I believe it's a little blue form that's in front of you. Each of you received one of those. If you don't have one and would like to have one, there's some in the back there. And that's for you to fill out in terms of what you hear, what you see, and comment on the candidacy of Dr. Fierro. I believe that's all we need to do at this point. And so we'd like to please give Dr. Jose Fierro a Cerritos welcome, and he'll do his opening remark.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you. Much better. Thank you. How are you guys doing today? I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me today. Thank you for working in the weather. Beautiful weather. As I was mentioning a couple minutes ago, I just got out of a plane, not just, but this morning about 2 a.m. a plane from Boston. It was really, really cold, and there were piles of snow about this big, so much better weather here, so thank you for having me today. I'm very excited to be here, very glad to have the opportunity to meet all of you, and actually very glad to see almost a full room. It seems like we have a lot of students, faculty and staff, so great combination, so thank you for making time to come and see me and hear what I have to say today. So I'm going to give you just a quick background. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my formal education, a little bit about my experience in higher education, and a couple of examples that could relate to the job description that was provided to me when I applied to Cerritos College, so practical examples of what I have done. So I have a doctoral degree on veterinary medicine, so I was a vet for a few years, a master's degree in administration and leadership, and a PhD in higher education leadership. I have been a faculty member. I used to teach anatomy and physiology, microbiology, senator in the faculty senate. I was vice president of the faculty senate at some point. Later on, I started getting involved into college-wide initiatives, which eventually led to me becoming the director for the Center of Teaching and Learning, which was basically a target to faculty and staff development, assessment, and accreditation. And after that, I became a dean. on a campus in Jacksonville, Florida. This campus was one of 5 campuses of a multi-college district. About 80,000 students at that time. Right now, there are about 70,000 enrollment changes. And in that position, I reported directly to the president. This particular campus didn't have vice president, so the deans actually reported to the president. So at that time, I was an academic dean, reported to the president, and I developed initiatives to enhance technology in the classroom and to enhance the use of distance education. So we ran out of that campus about 15,000 online students a year, and implemented a plan to increase the availability of technology in the classroom. I have experience on master plan facilities, which is one of the pieces that was outlined in the job description in my previous institution and in my current institution. Right now, I'm working on 2 buildings that were funded through a bond issue and state matching resources. So we basically carry a campaign to pass a bond to get money for these 2 buildings, and then we ask the state for additional money to complete the project. Right now planning 1 building for fine and performing arts and an expansion to our library. I have lots of experience in chair and participatory governance. The institution I came from in Florida was a chair governance institution, and the institution I'm right now is new to chair governance. One of the initiatives that we had when I came in and my president came in was to transition the institution from policy governance to participatory governance. So I have been part of the process of participatory governance, and I have been currently part of the implementation of a new participatory governance at my current institution. Obviously, since I have been a senator, I know how to work with the faculty senate and the curriculum committee and assessment committee and academic standards committees. And obviously, in my current job as a chief academic officer, I also know how to do the administrative part of curriculum as it relates to faculty changes. We developed a technology plan. I understand that is part of the desire of Cerritos College to increase technology in the classroom, the use of technology and the currency of technology in the classroom. I have experience doing that, as in my previous job I led also an instructional design unit. They help faculty with the design of web-enhanced course, hybrid courses, online courses, and alignment of student learning outcomes in the traditional classroom.
First question. What are some points in your background and experience that are of special value to you as the president of Cerritos College? What strengths do you bring to this position and our college?
Well, I'm a very transparent individual, and as I looked into the job description and what it seemed to be the needs of Cerritos College, based on the information that I found in the website and online, and the information that I was able to gather out of watching the different board meetings, it seems the strong communication plans are needed, being transparent in how the information is delivered to the different constituents, and listening to what the different constituents have to say about initiatives and responding to those initiatives. I have experience, as I mentioned before, on master plans, building facilities. I have experience managing large budgets. Obviously, California had a shortfall about $5 billion over a 5-year period, and although the funds are coming back, it's very important to learn how to utilize those resources, because it's relatively unlikely the funding sources continue to increase in the future the way that they were done in the past. have experience with participatory governance, as I said before, as a part of the group, the participatory governance group, and as an administrator working with different units in the participatory governance, and obviously helping constituents to understand the process of participatory governance. Not to say that you don't know the process of participatory governance, but as I mentioned before, in my current institution, participatory governance is relatively new, so we are helping to implement that since we transitioned from a policy governance to a participatory governance model.
Next question. As the new president of Cerritos College, how would you get to know and communicate with students, faculty, staff, managers, and facilitate trust through the practice of participatory governance?
One of the first things that I will do is actually approach the job, and my first few months on the job, like when you go to an archaeological dig, right? You have to just very quickly start uncovering layers and understanding how the environment works. Every college, regardless of whether or not the college has been 5 years here or 100 years, have a specific and unique culture. So my first job, in order to increase participation and creating trust among constituents, is actually learning the culture of the institution. And learning the culture of the institution requires me to be an observer and to listen to what the constituents have to say. I cannot just go to an archaeological dig and move everything around, because then the site will not look any longer like it should have, right? So I prefer to come in and start looking at how the culture works, how the different groups work, the expectations that the institutions has for me as the new president, and the expectations that the constituents have of the college as it moves into the future. So one of the first things that I will do is create cross-functional meetings in which I will probably meet with constituents groups of about 8 to 10 people and listen, have a list of set questions and gather information. So those meetings wouldn't be for me to talk, it would be for me mostly to listen. So as I said in one of my previous meetings, I will do the 75-25% rule. 75 listening, 25% talking. So I will go to the meeting and listen and ask very specific questions and write down what I hear the constituents are saying. And do that until I meet with constituents from every area, and do it in a safe environment, right? So, well, there will be notes taken of those meetings. There will not be identifications of Jose says this or Lynn said that. You can't have that, because if we want to create an environment of trust, what we're trying to do is determine what is the environment. So if you start citing names, obviously people are less likely to speak freely. Once I get that, I will read over the comments. And as I read over the comments, I will try to identify the specific trends of where the school is going, where the school has been, what is the culture, and what are some of the issues that we will have to address first. And when I say we, I mean we as a whole, not just me. I cannot fix anything by myself. I have to work with people to be able to fix or change things, right? And it's not a matter of something needs to be fixed, it's just simply something needs to change. So I will do that, and then I will set a communication out in which I basically close the loop based on the information that I gather from the different groups, answering to different concerns and acknowledging the information that I receive. That is very important, because for me, that will be perhaps the last opportunity that I will have to make a comment on the environment or the college that I receive before the environment that will become after I arrive. So it's very important for me to understand that before making any type of comments or any type of changes. After that, it's a matter of transparency. You say what you mean and mean what you say, and I'm that way. If you ask me something, I'm going to tell you the truth, whether the truth is beautiful or it isn't. And as you interact with me, you will be able to see that that is the way I am. And building trust and transparency takes a little bit, because At some point, someone has to take a leap of faith and said, okay, I'm going to trust this guy, even though he just showed up. I'm going to trust him a little bit. And the more opportunities you give the new guy, the more opportunities you will see to you will have to see trust and transparency. So will be a lot of communication, a lot of clear information, gathering the voices of the different constituents, and most importantly, closing the loop and letting people know what I found, what I think, and asking for feedback that will lead to whether or not there are changes that need to be made. From the outside in, it's very easy to be judgmental, but this is not about making judgment. This is just simply a matter of identifying where the college wants to go as a whole. This agenda is not about what Jose wants. It's a matter of what is best for the students, where the Cerritos should go as a whole, not just one person.
What have you done in your current and previous positions to promote and support excellence in teaching and learning and student services programs that lead to student success?
The goal of the community colleges continues to be very much the same, which is basically be everything for everyone. So we offer everything for everyone, and we're very proud of what we do. The thing is that the rules of the game have been changing a little bit, and funding and resources were allocated based on enrollment. But with the 21st Century Initiative, we're starting to see a change in which we say, okay, yeah, it's okay to open the doors and serve all the students, but you can no longer just stop there. You have to go to the completion aspect. So you get these many students on the doors, how many you get out of the door with a degree or certificate? So the agenda became not only access, but access and completion. In order to reach the access and completion agenda, which basically calls for to increase graduations by 50% by the year 2020, we have to remove the silos that have existed for a long time between student services and academic affairs. It has to be a collaboration. That collaboration needs to happen by developing joint initiatives. One of the first things that I did was learning what was happening at the front door of the institution. And what I mean by the front door of the institution are the transition points that students experience. So we got students that graduate out of high school, and they're trying to go to college. What is happening between the time that they inquire for college and they actually get into a classroom? Are they being treated properly? Are they given the information they need? Do they have the necessary resources to actually make it to the classroom? Right? We can have great teachers and great programs, but if the students do not make it to the classroom, how we're going to teach them? So that is the first step that we need to create in order to make sure the student services collaborate with academic affairs and see where those gaps needs to be closed. Then the next step is to look at the first semester of credit hours. So students usually, if they're in full time, they take between 12 to 15 credit hours during the first semester. And by just looking at the data, you probably could guess that the courses that the students take between 0 to 15 credit hours usually have the higher or the lowest success rates among all courses at the institution. Those are gateway courses. Students who do have, who experience a setback during their first semester are less likely to come back the next semester, right? They're less likely to come back next year. So we're losing about 45 to 55% of the students to matriculate every single semester. So it's very important to have orientation, student orientation, first year experience, pathways to graduation, so connections between the high school, the community college, and the university that outline specifically what do the students need to do in order to earn a credential. If you ask all the students in the audience right now, how many of you want to get a baccalaureate degree, the nationwide average will be about 80%. So about 80% of the students want to attain a baccalaureate degree when they start college. Did you know how many of them actually complete one? Less than 23% complete one. And if we're talking about students that are coming from a community college who do not hold an associate's degree by the time they graduate, you're talking about 17%. So if we're talking about 10 students, we're talking about 8 wanting to complete a baccalaureate degree. 20-some% of those 8 end up getting a baccalaureate degree, and those that leave the community college, only 1.7 students actually will complete on time by the time they finish. So it's very important to work on the transition points, and to that, obviously, we need student services and academic affairs to work together, creating initiatives like mandatory orientation, first year experience, supplemental instruction on difficult courses like college algebra or different variations of mathematics, supplemental instruction on English 101, or I'm not sure what is your number here, but essentially composition. Those are the courses that usually students have difficulties with and end up placing in developmental courses. So it's very important to have supplemental instruction that will help move those students forward.
Thank you. Now, questions from the audience. Cerritos College is on warning, particularly because of standard foreign accreditation, relationship of president to the board of trustees. How will you get us off warning status and stay off warning?
I'm glad you guys gave me an easy question to begin with, so let me warm up for this one. Thank you for that question, Eddie. Well, everything is about building relationships, right? So what I have seen as I have watched the different board meetings online is a group of trustees. They have more likely the same goal: student success and the well-being of Cerritos College. The difficult part when you have the same goal is that there are multiple avenues that lead to the same result, right? And what I think that is happening is that the communication as to what avenue are we going to take to get to the same goal is getting in the way of reaching the actual goal. So it's a matter of developing retreats for the trustees and the president and even the president's cabinet. It's a matter of creating training for the president's cabinet, the president and the trustees as to how we are going to operate together. It's a matter of clarifying the goals that we have. This is the goal, and then we have a goal. How do we measure if we're getting to the goal? So if we say we're going to increase student success, okay, that is a great goal to have. By how much and when? And then we determine what are the tools that we need to get there. So outlining a very clear pathway to do that. The other part is to build trust. Just like it's important to build trust with the constituents at the institution, it's very important to build trust with the board. The board essentially are giving someone, hopefully me, the opportunity to run the college and putting a lot of trust in that individual. But that individual do not automatically get trust. You need to earn that trust, and you do that by keeping clear communication. You do not want your trustees to be surprised about something happening at the institution or something happening in the community. You want to be the first point of contact for them to say, yes, I was aware of that, we're working on it. You don't want a trustee to be outside in the store and someone from the community say, do you know this is happening at your college? What are you doing about it? And then to be completely surprised because they don't know that is happening. So I have to be very forthcoming with information, good and bad information. Sometimes there are really great things that we need to celebrate as a college, and there are some things that we need to work on, but either way, we have to communicate with the trustees in the best possible way. And then, as we do that, it's very important for me as a CEO to be able to set clear expectations of what I want my relation to be with the board, and for the board to set very clear expectations as what they want of me as a CEO. And that needs to be reflected in my evaluation and in the self-evaluation of the board. Have we achieved what we set to achieve? And how we do that? By creating very transparent and measurable objectives. Can this happen? Absolutely. Can it happen overnight? Not at all. It will take 6 months, maybe a year, for everyone to adjust to a new normal, if you will. But once the relation is built, when you take the time to build a relation, those relations tend to last much longer than if we rush just to meet an accreditation standard. This needs to be a true relationship. It cannot be something that we do just to check a box in our accreditation standard.
Does a lecture recorded by an instructor that is posted on the college server become college property?
Well, that depends on your individual policies and procedures. I guess at first glance, without knowing your policies and procedures, is probably not. But if you have policies and procedures, the state, if the college is hosting, or if you're using college materials, or if you have intellectual rights, well, I suppose that the answer will be yes. So depending on what is in the bargaining agreement on intellectual rights, if the intellectual rights are owned by the institution, well, the answer will be yes, that could be an extension of your intellectual rights. If there is nothing really that says the college owns intellectual property, I suppose the answer will be no, but I couldn't give you a very specific answer until I'm familiar with your policies and procedures.
What is your current opinion about Cerritos College, and what is your biggest concern?
Cerritos College, and I said this in all the meetings that I have had today, this is the only place I'm actually applying. I'm not looking to become a president and just go anywhere. I actually apply only here, and after a lot of conversation and correspondence with Eddie. So my current opinion of Cerritos College is that it's a great place. My current opinion of Cerritos College is that it's well positioned as we move into the future. I believe Cerritos College has a great opportunity to influence the community as we move forward based on the demographics that it serves. I mean, we're a majority institution, and as the demographics in the state and in the country change, it's going to be imperative for us to be able to open the doors to different groups, and these groups are going to have a significant impact in the economy as we move forward. Cerritos College obviously is doing very well on physical management, so my opinion is extremely positive of Cerritos College. What is my biggest concern? My biggest concern is basically understanding the culture of the institution. And I think once I understand the culture of the institution and the institution knows me, we will make a great team. But always it's a matter of fit. So my biggest concern is, are we a fit? The rest of the problems, I haven't seen anything on the research that I have done. They will say, oh, run away, run for the hills. There's nothing like that for me. It's more about whether or not you think I am the person that could lead the college as we move forward, and that is the big concern, like whether or not we are an actual fit. Because I think the candidates that you have seen, we all have the qualifications and the experience to actually be able to do the job, but can we do the job here in this environment, and do we fit to make a very good team? That is my concern, but I'm sure once we do that, we'll make a great team.
Long question. Textbooks are a necessary component of our in our quest to complete our goals and we set for ourselves in higher education. Our campus bookstore is currently operated by Follett Higher Education, a $2.7 billion company that services over 1,700 plus college bookstores. Last spring, the Office of Research and Planning conducted a survey on behalf of the Social Equity Club to gather opinions on the prices of the and access to college bookstore. Almost all the respondents agreed that bookstores are priced higher and much higher than expected. Furthermore, the most popular location to purchase textbooks is our campus bookstore. Now the question, would you support the implementation of an independent nonprofit campus bookstore so that students have true access to textbooks at Cerritos College?
Another easy question, thank you. That is actually a very hot topic of conversation across the nation. The profit margins of textbooks and actually overall student supplies. Everything comes with a price, right? So would I support having that conversation and trying to move that direction? Yes, of course, I'm open to have that conversation, but we need to be sure that we understand the impact, the general impact of the decisions we make. I was very impressed when I came to the college a few weeks ago. Well, actually, I wasn't supposed to be at the college. I was supposed to go to an interview, but I decided to make a stop and schedule a stop at the college. And I walked around, met with a few students. They didn't know who I was. I was just simply some random man speaking with people. And I had the opportunity to pick up a copy of the student newspaper. And I was reading about the survey and the contract negotiations that the students have had with Follett and the level of involvement that the students had during this whole process. You don't really see that a lot in many places. Usually contracts are done by the business officers, and that's what they are, and that's what you do. But here, you did an amazing job negotiating that contract. If you look at the contract that you negotiated, you see they do get a profit, but the college and the different college organizations also receive resources based off the contract, right? There is a number of money that the college gets back, and the different student organizations also get back. So it is important to keep all those pieces in mind when you enter into a negotiation. What is the bigger picture? Because sometimes in order to gain short-term gains, you may not end up ahead when you finish the negotiation. So it's very important to have that. What do you do with the money that you receive based on this contract? Can you find a different way to supplement that additional income in order to continue to maintain your current operations? So while I'm not saying I'm against or I'm for, I'm mostly in favor of looking at the whole picture and seeing where can we find something that is best for our students as a whole, not just one piece of the puzzle, but as a whole. My dissertation was in developmental mathematics, but it was actually focused on faculty-developed materials for developmental students. So we had a group of faculty that worked in a project, and this project was basically meant to provide the students with the materials they needed to go through the class. The results that we found was there were not huge differences, but there were good differences. The students, the way they went through the faculty-developed material courses had higher retention and higher success rate. I wouldn't call the retention and the success rate statistically significant, but it was a difference. And the reason, after we interviewed some of the faculty, was because the books and the materials were written in a way that the students understood what was being said. Sorry. So essentially, leading me to believe that it's not so much that the students can do the work, but sometimes they don't understand how the work is presented. Who know the students best? The faculty. The faculty, they interact with this group of students all the time. So they develop materials that were a specific targeting their student population. Also allows faculty to to make changes and improve the materials more frequently, therefore giving the students fresh materials every year, every year and a half. This wasn't completely free because obviously the initial seed money came through the college and through a 50 grant, but required an investment of somewhere between, depending on the type of textbook, between $40 and $50 or sometimes $60 from the student end. Well, when you compare that to a book that is $100, $150 at the bookstore, obviously it is a good solution. So I'm not saying that is the solution. I'm simply saying there are different venues that we could explore in order to make things better for the students and maintain prices reasonable.
How many students are enrolled in your current institution, and what do you see as your greatest success there?
My current college, this is funny, is the largest community college in Wyoming. Anyone know what is the population of Wyoming? 300,000. Oh, somewhere in between. It's about 500,000, a little over 500,000, and we are the whole state. And we are the largest community college, so we serve, depending on how you count them, somewhere between 5,000 to 6,000 students. So comparatively speaking, it is relatively a small college. However, in my previous institution, we served 80,000 students. And when I worked at Valencia College before that, about 50,000. They all are multi-campus institutions. So Valencia and Florida State College, they are both multi-campus institutions, very large, almost 80,000 in Florida State College, and Valencia College, about 50,000. And now in Cheyenne, Wyoming, about 6,000, depending, 6,000, depending how you count them. And it's also a multi-campus institution. I will say my biggest success is none, but I have achieved a lot of success with my teams. So I do work with people very, very well, so I don't claim the good things that happen around the institution as I did them. This is a team effort. There is nothing at the institution that happened that I have done single-handed. There's nothing. So if I was going to show you a summary of my biggest accomplishment as a solo player, it will be probably like this screen, completely blank, because nothing that I have done is actually by myself. So we have implemented extremely good programs for the student success and retention. So in the last couple of years, with the help of my partner in student services, we have consistently every year increased course completion rates between 5 and 8%. And last year, we increased graduation rates by 12%. That was not just me, that's a group effort. So I want to make sure that you understand that those pieces are not things that I say that I did. This is something that I do with a team of people. So if I can claim anything, it's being able to work with others and bring the best out of a team.
How would you manage Cerritos College, which is mainly Hispanic with first-generation and immigrant students? Please don't use your ethnic background as an answer.
Now I have to prepare a new answer. Let me. This session. No, I mean, I believe diversity is key to manage any environment. And I'm not saying this, as I said, based on my ethnic background, but I built diverse teams. Probably imagine the diversity is not huge in Wyoming, yet my team is very diverse. So age, gender, ethnic backgrounds. And the reason I like to build diverse teams is because every single one of us look at the world from a different perspective based on your upbringings. And when you have diverse teams, you're able to see an issue from multiple angles that you will not get if you have a homogeneous team. So how we'll manage Cerritos is by using its biggest assets, which is diversity, but to look at the problems or opportunities or challenges from multiple angles. We all have a different way to see things, and we all have different opinions of how something needs to be handled, but those opinions and those views are based on your background, not only educational, but experiential, ethnic, the type of upbringing and surroundings that you have. So that's what I will use in order to be able to work with all of you to help lead the institution, using diversity as a strength.
What are your experiences with underprivileged communities and systems of union representation?
I have a lot of experience with underrepresented and low-income communities, especially when I was in Jacksonville and Orlando. Florida State College, for instance, was a very urban college. Our downtown campus, for instance, was right in the middle of downtown Jacksonville. So the majority of our students actually were underrepresented students and students on lower socioeconomical conditions. So we developed a number of programs in order to actually learn and understand the needs of these students. Oftentimes, students come into a classroom and as a teacher, and we probably all have been guilty of this at some point, we are not very tolerant to what is happening in the classroom to the students because that is the reality that we see from one single angle. But as you get involved and you listen to people and get to understand what is happening, then you can see when the student come into the classroom, they sometimes bring a lot of baggage with them that need to be addressed. And I'm not saying baggage in a derogative way, I'm just simply saying that there are other issues in their minds, there are other things happening that need to be addressed. So we have work, for instance, in the development of a food pantry. We have, because we found out that many of our students will come to class, but they had not had breakfast that day, or they're not going to be able to get lunch, so they can go there and do that. So we have done the food pantry and food drives. We have closets, for instance, that are helping students get professional attire to go back and interview for jobs or to a dinner that they need to attend. We have, for some of our programs, more specifically CT programs, we have case managers. Rather than doing traditional student advisors, we use case managers in order to get to know these students a little better and to help them deal with what is happening in the outside for them to do better. Because if we get them to a point that they're able to complete a degree or a certificate, you're changing their life from that point on. So helping them to deal with external situations sometimes is probably more helpful than what we're teaching them in the classroom. It's giving them the tools to be able to get to reach their goals.
What are your views on support and growth of fine arts, performing arts, as both a core part of the overall education and community cultural enrichment? How would you support and grow these programs?
I don't think Christine is here. She was the student that was giving me the tour. But as we were going in the little golf car, we were driving by and she was showing me a building. But as she was speaking, I was looking the other direction. So she stopped and said, well, since I see you picking on that building, I'm going to tell you what it is. And obviously I knew what it was because I had seen it and I had walked by when I came to campus the first time around incognito, and it was the arts building, right? So I do have a big appreciation for the arts, not just the arts, but the fine and performing arts as well. And I find the arts to be a piece on every single person's educational experience. So when a lot of people talk about this STEM, I like to talk about STEAM, right? Science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. Why? Because that make a person a whole. There is one thing that we can actually utilize across the college, which is general education. Every student that goes through this college gets exposed to arts and humanities. Why? That's a way to actually grow those programs. Arts and humanities, similar to sports, have the ability to penetrate the community very, very deep, right? Bring the community onto campus, a connection to the community. You know, well, I do love, obviously, science and mathematics. You don't see community members coming to a classroom of a science teacher or a math teacher to see how they solve an equation. You just don't see that. But you do see the community going to theater. You go to the communities going to an ensemble by the band and things like that. So I will use arts in a similar way that sports are used to reach deep into the community. Not everyone in the community is an sport fans, but you will find some that are arts lovers. So you reach different constituents within the community based on the tools that are available at the campus. You target different groups in order to strengthen the programs by creating endowments, by creating partnerships with the K-12 system, so we can actually recruit students within those programs. And obviously, you will give them the validity and the credibility that they deserve around campus, just like any other discipline at the institution.
The California higher education system is governed by a very intricate legislative system. How will you cope with the challenges having to get acquainted with it and this campus, and how will that affect your ability to be an effective superintendent for Cerritos College?
In order to be an effective leader at Cerritos College, it's obvious that I will have to do some homework on getting up to speed on the different legislative mandates like Title V and chair governance, right? Restricted funds, the Student Success Initiative in 2012. So I'll have to get obviously all the way up to speed with that. I'm a very quick learner. I learn things quickly, and I will spend the time actually getting to know the system. But that is less important if I'm unable to learn how to work with my team, right? It's the President's Cabinet, the executive group. I have to build a relation with them in order for them to help me navigate the system and become efficient on campus. Any person that comes new to the institution, even if they know how the system works in the outside, it's an adjustment period because things do not work the same. The culture is not the same. So even though I will have to do a lot of homework to learn how to navigate the legislative intricacies of Cerritos College and the California Community College system, I will have to put a lot of time building a very strong relation with my direct team and the rest of teams at the institution. Why? Because the knowledge of how to handle everything that is happening within the institution and the state is not found in any one person. It's found in multiple people. So again, even if you get someone that has been at the system for very, very long times, it's very, very unlikely that one person has all the answers to navigate the intricacies of the campus. So if I build a strong team and strong relations across the community, the state, and the campus, I should be able to get us to speed very, very quickly and be as effective leader as anyone else.
What is your one goal? What is the one goal you have for Cerritos College, and why? Do you have any goals for the safety issues Cerritos has, such as bike theft, unauthorized videotaping in bathrooms, halls, etc.?
It's like hard question, harder question, hard question, much harder question. The one goal that I will be bold enough to actually put forward is a student success, and it's a goal that you already have. When you look at your strategic plan, the 7 circles, the thing that you see in the middle is student success. So I think that is the number one thing that I will look into. How you get there, obviously, that requires a lot of conversation with the constituents across campus. But I will continue to work with all of you, reaching student success and improving student success across the college. Other than that, obviously, it will take me time in order for me to understand how the college works, in order to have a more clear vision and goals for the institution. But something that I feel safe saying, that I think we are all working towards the same goal here, is student success. That is probably the first thing that I will do. And regard of the security issues, obviously, that is a very simple answer. Once I get here, all that, no. No, it is a complicated answer, because what I know about that is what I was able to read on the student newspaper, and what I was able to see during your Board of Trustees discussions. So obviously, I will have to do a lot of background research to see what is happening, why it's happening, look at how resources have been allocated for security, look at the number of incidents, and get to know the environment to identify if what we are doing right now will lead to the solution we want, or if there are any changes to be made. But I don't want to be pretentious and tell you that I have this big plan without really knowing the institution, because I don't know the institution more than the research that I have been able to do. And when you work in a complex environment like Cerritos College, it's almost like peeling an onion. Have a lot of layers that you need to go through in order to find out the correct information.
As a president, you have to be a leader. What is one of your weaknesses as a leader or as a person?
Oh, that's pretty simple. I don't have any, and if I take this Superman shirt right there, so you guys are set with that. No, I have one, or probably I guess more than one, but I will share one with you. That is, when I get working on something, I become extremely focused on what I want. So extremely. Almost to the point that I become obsessive of what I want to do. I just have this target in mind, and that's what I see. And sometimes I see it, and I see how to get there, and I see it first. Obviously, if you're thinking about it, obviously you see it first before anyone else. So I start moving quickly, trying to get there, because it's so close, so tangible to me, that if I keep going, I'm sure I can make it there. And on my early days as an administrator, I learned that that wasn't always a good thing, because I could see it, and it's just right there, and it could be great. But if I get there alone, it's really not going to work. And I could see it, and it's there, but if I get there and I have fractured my team by the time I get there, it's really not going to work. So what I have done is actually work with my team to make sure they keep me honest. So if I see something and it's worth pursuing, they will question me. And I'm very open with that. I have no problem with my team actually question my decisions. That's part of the dialogue. So they question my decisions. They question how I'm gonna get there. And they said, and they have become confident enough to tell me, you're going way too fast, and you have not given us all the directions that we need. You need to be more clear on your communication. You are forgetting this piece. So I accept a lot of that feedback, and I accept all what they're telling me. So I start relying a lot on my team in order to keep me honest, that I'm not pushing too hard, that I'm not forgetting things, and that everyone is included as we move forward. So over time, I learned that listening to my team and to my constituents is actually more helpful to reach a goal than seeing the goal and trying to just run by myself and get it. So I shared that earlier. If you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go with a group, and I like to go far rather than fast.
Now it's time for your closing.
Well, thank you for having me today here. This hour went by really quickly. There were some hard questions and some questions a lot harder, but I enjoyed them. So thank you again for having me here, and I just want to let you know that I'm thrilled with the opportunity of being here, the opportunity that you have given me as a finalist. I want to let you know that I'm only interested in this position right now. As I said before, I don't have any other applications waiting anywhere or other active searches going anywhere. When I did the search, I make sure that what you were looking for is something that I can actually provide to you. What you see of me today is how I will act every day. I'm not, I don't have more than one personality. I'm just simply a normal, very open individual. So when you have questions and you need to talk to me, I'm always available. So thank you for considering me, and I hope you have a great weekend, and thank you for the great weather.
Thank you very much. Again, on behalf of the trustees of Cerritos College, thank you for being here and participating in the process. Please turn in your forms and have a nice afternoon.